the hotels run and owned by SNIT and by extension by pensioners, you and I, because it is our money that
the trust operates with and
absolutely,
all.
And putting in these hotels or establishing these hotels. Questions have been raised as to the business decision that went into SNIT even operating two hotels that are 5 meters apart. I mean, talking about La Palm Royal Beach, Labadi Beach Hotel,
Almina Beach Resort, Ridge Royal, and Busia.
Absolutely, and you look at how all of them are being ran now. Not all of them are even making profit or even breaking even hardly. So it's a fundamental question of if a decision has to be taken to offload these hotels, who has to take over, and have they gotten to the point where these hotels have to be offloaded, and then how does that decision ultimately benefit pensioners? In the end. So you and I, these are the questions we're going to be asking Samuel Okujeto Black as we try to get him on the telephone here. On Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We'll come back to this story, right? But let's go to the big issue that has been running for almost the last 24 hours, and we got wind of it yesterday evening. But the petition for the removal of the special prosecutor, Kesi Agyemang, is a big blow to the fight against corruption. That's according to private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu. Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono has written to Kesi Agyemang to provide his comments on the petition that has been filed by his predecessor, Martin Alamisi Ben Amido, for his removal. In a letter to Kesi Agyemang dated Thursday, May 16, the Chief Justice requested his comments to help her ascertain if a prima facie case has been established. Let's take a listen to what Martin Kpebu said specifically about this very interesting development that we're dealing with right now.
It's a serious blow to the fight against corruption. Yes, it's a very serious blow against the fight against corruption. We would have thought that at this time, President Kufuor would have been thinking about how to better resource the special prosecutor, because it's not yet down to, it's not given the establishment budget. Yet, you can see that President Kufuor is rather more interested in the process to remove Kesi Agyemang. So that's why he did. There have been several petitions in the past which President Kufuor never forwarded to the Chief Justice at the time. So you see that President Kufuor has a very big stake, a very big interest in the removal of Kesi Agyemang.
That's Martin Amido there. Now, on this same matter, the private legal practitioner accused President Kufuor of being behind the petition. Martin Amido, in fact, put this out just 3 or 4 days ago from the information that we get. Martin Kpebu, in reacting to this development, says this is an attempt to ensure a malleable special prosecutor replaces Kesi Agyemang.
Let's go back brief in the recent past. Oliver Bakavomawo presented a petition for the removal of Agyemang. President Kufuor never forwarded it. Before then, there were also petitions for the removal of previous chief justices. President Kufuor never took the steps to do the prima facie, etc. Right? So this one, for him to have forwarded it quickly, it tells you that he's very happy, and I'm very sure that he's actually behind the petition. Because Kesi Agyemang doesn't fit in the past. He wants a very malleable candidate. And because Kesi is shown a bit of independence, a bit of skill, Kufuor is scared that when he leaves office, he will be prosecuted for the corruption that he has pretended over.
Oh, that was private legal practitioner Martin Amido. That's Martin Kpebu, beg your pardon. Now, the former special prosecutor Martin Alamisi Ben Amido filed the petition against Kesi Agyemang on the grounds of procurement breaches in the purchase of vehicles for the Office of Special Prosecutor and abuses involving judges and the administration of justice. Now, meanwhile, a former member of parliament for the Tamale Central constituency, who was also a ranking member on the Constitutional Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, Alhaji Nusaf Hussaini, is saying that the petition is too early, as the Office of the Special Prosecutor is still struggling to find its feet. And you recall, it was during his membership of this Constitutional Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee that the Special Prosecutor's Office was established by law.
The Special Prosecutor's Office is roughly 7 years old. So it's still trying to establish itself and pursue the legitimate mandate that it has been given. Now, you have to balance this against the expectation of the Ghanaian people, and particularly the justification for the establishment of the office. Now, people expected that because corruption is eaten deep into the public fabric, and then the special prosecutor would have been up and running, and that will attach some level of seriousness to the matter. But you know, fighting corruption is not an easy task. I mean, many people have lost their lives because of corruption, fighting corruption. And so, clearly, yes, there is the expectation of Ghanaians that the office of the special prosecutor, having been established, would have seen a drop or a law in the corruptible or perceptible corruptible behavior among public officials. We are not seeing that. And the special prosecutor has run into a lot of roadblocks and has at times been frustrated by institutions of state which appear not to be cooperating with him. And so I try to balance the need to rein in corruption with the fact that the office is a new creation. It needs to cut its teeth.
As the former member of parliament for the Tamale Central constituency, and who is also a former ranking member on the Constitutional League and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament, Alhaji Yunus Senate there. We'll come back to a few more people who have been speaking about this, some members of parliament as well. But Grace, we have Adam Senano, who is a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, on the telephone. He is one person who's been following this development quite closely. Mr. Senano, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. Now, we went to bed with this news of a petition to President Akufo-Addo to have Kesi Agyemang removed as special prosecutor. Now, for you, the stated reasons by his predecessor, Martin Amido, how does that strike you?
Some of them are quite incredulous for me. I'm not quite sure what he's referring to when he says arrests or breaches of citizens' rights by arresting them. When he talks about the judiciary, I don't know whether he's suggesting that the special prosecutor should not be able to speak his mind if he thinks that the judiciary could do better. Mind you, the Chief Justice thought that there was a point and reached out to him, and for me that actually strengthened the collaboration between the two arms. I mean, I'm waiting to see the depth of the evidence that Mr. Martin and Kaiser Alamisi Amidu has provided. Having said that, it is important that due process is followed and that the SP is given an opportunity to address whatever issues have been raised.
At least from what we see now, it is indeed the case that the Chief Justice has actually written to the special prosecutor to respond.
Oh, that's good, because I kind of conclude that the special prosecutor will be able to deal with these matters. I'm quite skeptical that the SP will involve himself with procurement fraud, knowing very well the office he occupies. In any case, systems within the public sector which you have to follow for procurement. So it's unlikely that he himself would be fighting over these things. I think it's distasteful that a former sitting official occupying a particular position would then be so often attacking his successor. It's not good nor best practice. Typically, you serve your people, you move on, and you let your successor work. I think that even if there was any substantive or legitimate concerns he had, he probably should have had other persons take it up. But to have from day one been finding fault, it seems like a personal vendetta. It seems like you don't want your successor to shine or outshine you, whichever the case is, and knowing very well that Mr. Martin Amidu left us high and dry. He failed to exercise the powers of that office and then departed abruptly and has spent all the time accusing his successor. And I'm not quite sure this is any positive contribution to the fight against corruption.
And you went ahead of me, because that's the other issue that I was going to get to, because Martin Amidu has not minced words or been silent about his disapproval, in his view, of some of the decisions and methods that Kessie Agyemang has employed after assuming office. And over the last 2 years, he's been writing epistles about Kessie Agyemang continuously. But issue, even the latest being what he released sometime in January, that he believes that collaboration that you talk about, the one that the judiciary indeed did issue a statement that there's now some good collaboration between OSP and the judiciary after the OSP addressed that press conference sometime last year. Martin Amidu says that letter was fake. There's no way the judiciary would even come out and say that they're even collaborating with a special prosecutor. So he's been very consistent about his position on the special prosecutor's decisions and modus operandi. Why should this be different?
Well, and that's the problem. Mr. Martin Amidu's modus operandi did not deliver on the mandate of the people. So why should any of us want to accept that his reference point, his benchmark, his way of doing things is the right one for this country? He failed. He failed. And part of his failure was simply his inability to collaborate. And so it's amazing when the same person wants to lash out his success, wanting to provide platforms for collaboration. I'm clear in my mind that one of the things that this country will benefit from is where if the judiciary were to set up a fast-track anti-corruption process and make sure that its judges in that space are trained on anti-corruption issues so that they understand the nature of the cases being brought, we are more likely to get traction and set the kind of precedents that make it high risk for others to want to get into this impunity. So I see it as a plus. And I don't know where the Amidu gets that idea that there ought to be no collaboration. Any attempt to get some form of collaboration, even just the work. It's not collaboration to say we're working together to penalize people, but collaboration that makes sure that the arms are fitting it into each other and that the cause of justice is being promoted. I'm not sure Mr. Amidu has contributed at all. I think this is rather setting us back. Plus, this is not international best practice. It is unusual for public servants in any jurisdiction after they've left office to spend their time criticizing their predecessors. This is a new law. And I'm quite disappointed in Mr. Amidu.
Let's see. I no appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, we're still staying on this issue, and for Tamale North lawmaker Hassan Suni, the swiftness with which President Akrofi remitted the petition for the removal of Kessie Agyemang to the Chief Justice for actions to be taken is surprising. He recounted several petitions sent to the President against other officials, such as the chair of the Electoral Commission, Agyemang, and justices of the Supreme Court, which went nowhere.
Well, my interest in this petition has more to do with the alacrity with which the President has forwarded the petition to the Chief Justice. As for Mr. Martin Amidu and the current special prosecutor, we all know the bad blood that exists between them ever since Mr. Martin Amidu's exits from that place. But my issue has to do with the selectivity with which the President, His Excellency, forwards petitions of that nature to the Chief Justice. Because I am very, very well aware that after he did same involving a petition against Madam Charlotte Osei, 2 other petitions were sent to him against Madam Agyemang. Until date, the petitioners have not even received acknowledgement of receipt of that petition. Again, I know that another petition was sent to him against the former Chief Justice, Madam Gloria, was it Gloria or Sophia? Sophia, Madam Sophia. Again, the president did nothing about that petition. Yet, his handlers want us to believe that the Constitution uses the article shall, and that he has nothing to do with the petitions when they come to his table beyond forwarding or transmitting them straight to the Chief Justice. So the president, as we discuss this, will have to explain to all of us why he does the automatic transmission of some of these petitions to the Chief Justice, but withholds some. Well,
Tamale North lawmaker Hassan Sini there. Let's stay on the line and speak to legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi. Counsel, thank you for joining us. So it appears parts of this petition is surprising quite a number of people. Are you surprised in any way by this?
Oh, actually, being a Ghanaian and having witnessed the 7-year rule of the current president, two things come quickly in mind. That nothing is really surprising under this president. I mean, it's almost as if nothing is impossible under his regime. The kind of things that you think are impossible to be done are the things that the president does. And it's just too unbelievable that the continuous self-contradicting conduct of the president towards constitutional democracy on daily basis gets affirmed by his conduct. And for me, I'm really saddened. And it's shocking that for a person who wanted us to believe that he is a lawyer and that he knows what it's about and that he means business and came to advance the cause of our democracy and all of that, on daily basis contradicts himself in relation to our constitutional rule. And this is yet one example of it. And I do not think we are going to end here. We are probably going to see more of his contradictory conduct attitudes going forward. And for me, that is the shocking part of it. Not necessarily Martin Namidu petitioning, because Martin, at least right from day one, had shown clearly his dislike, if you want to call it, for maybe the attitude of Agyemang or the office or the manner in which he handles issues. It's difficult to point out exactly what Martin problem is with Agyemang, and so I would not pretend to be an expert in that area, but I'm indeed an expert in the misconduct of our president when it comes to events of this nature, particularly when it has to do with the constitutional matters. He pretends at one point to be the master of the Constitution and the buck stops with him, and at another point pretends that as for him, he's an innocent bystander and he only does what the Constitution asks him to do. When in fact, his other conduct shows completely the opposite. And I don't know, I think there was somebody on the line earlier who gave typical examples of some of those conducts. And there are several of those that if time would allow, I would probably point them out. In fact, the easiest example I'll probably give you is the witchcraft bill that the president pretended to be a Supreme Court, determining which part of it was constitutional and which part wasn't constitutional, when he does not have that power to make any interpretation of any bill that comes before him. Another example of this has to do with the recent LGBTQ plus bill. And there are several of these. Yet, the moment, of course, I wouldn't have to mention the e-levy bill, which the president showed that it did not matter whether there was a suit in court or not. And it did not matter whatever controversies were surrounding the bill. He still went ahead. Not only did he assent to it, but actually implemented the bill to the dislike of everyone. And these are what other examples of how the president continuously contradicts himself and make us wonder whether he even understands what it means to be a president in any country.
Counsel,
for a president to immediately, in fact, what the president has done in this occasion, for instance, ideally is the right thing to do. The president is supposed to be a conveyor belt, as has been described by our court and indeed the Constitution. He's supposed to be a conveyor belt of petitions of this nature. he doesn't have any role to play in the determination of a prima facie case or otherwise. And what he is supposed to do is simply to convey whatever comes before him to the Chief Justice, who will then employ the tools necessary and available under the Constitution to determine whether a prima facie case has been made or not. And then, if any, constitute a panel that would investigate the matters and then make their recommendations, which would then be forwarded to the President, for the President to comply. And trust me, where we have similar situations, I can guarantee you that even though the President is supposed to comply, where it doesn't favor him, he will never comply, knowing the nature of this President, the conduct of this particular President. If it doesn't favor him, he will never comply. If he favors him, he will comply.
Counsel, so
he has shown so far.
We know that the Chief Justice has written to the OSP for his initial comments. There's this conversation that it is rather too early for her to be asking, or for her office to be asking the OSP to respond now. Do you also think it is rather too early? The OSP Act says she has 30 days for her to do that response, or for him to do that response.
Yes, so it tells you how quick people are to act. But again, as to whether the CJ acts earlier or later, for me, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, he must act. She must act within the time frame. And so if she decides to act within the earlier time or the later time, I wouldn't even want to fault that for any reason. She has an issue to determine. And if she has all the time in the world to determine it and he has chosen this particular time to do it, I do not think we can fault her for that particular purpose. I do not think that is wrong at all.
Counsel, it might be early days yet, but how do you see this panning out subsequently, looking at all the precedents you've already given us in your initial submission?
Like I said, but I think I've already predicted the outcome, that depending on what the President's interest in this whole subject matter is, he will either comply or not comply with the recommendation, even though he doesn't have a choice out of it. But he will tell us he does have a choice. And if you are so displeased with it, we should rather go to court. This is how things are going to span out. As to how the committee would conduct its work, I would expect that they do an open inquiry and make it telecast for all of us to witness it. I think it only deepens the issues of accountability and only helps us to also appreciate whatever recommendation that will come out eventually from their way. I think to also dispel ill feelings and rumors going on, because at this moment everybody's saying that the establishment is after the OSP because of course it's the other part. So the best way to dispel that will be to have a public inquiry for the entire world to observe the proceedings, and so that when the recommendations come out eventually, we would all can interrogate the basis for such recommendations if it does come out, particularly because of the President, because the President can dribble all of us by doing B, even though the committee probably even said A.
Okay.
So for me, in this whole enterprise, the President is the last person to be trusted.
Counsel, thank you for speaking to us. Justice Abdullahi is a legal practitioner telling us his viewpoint on the petition to have the OSP or the special prosecutor removed from office. Alfred, interesting submissions there from the legal people.
Indeed, and it's something that we're going to come back to here on Hot Edition, because it's hot on the plate. And another issue that is hot on the plate on Hot Edition this evening is a member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, petitioning the Commission on Human Rights and Restorative Justice Shraj to investigate and halt the imminent sale of the 60% shares of hotels within the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, that's the SNATE investment portfolio, to the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Echampo. In fact, SNATE, which controls majority stake in 6 hotels, we're talking about Labadi Beach Hotel, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, which is just like 3 meters away from each other, Elmina Beach Resort in the Central Region, Ridge Royal Hotel, Bozia Beach Resort, and the Trust Lodge Hotel, intends to relinquish the stake in these hotels to another hotel operator, Rock City Hotel, which is linked to a cabinet minister, Brian Agyemang, in this current administration. The MP says the matter does not only raise fundamental concerns about conflict of interest, but then what else? That's a question that we're going to be asking the Member of Parliament right now. He's joining us on the telephone, Samuel Okoyetua Blackwell, Member of Parliament for the Northton constituency. Appreciate your time, Mr. Blackwell, for joining us here on Hot Edition. Beyond this issue, the fundamental concern of conflict of interest, what else does this matter, this reported issue of SNIT reportedly seeking to relinquish its 60% shareholding in the hotels within the SNIT investment portfolio to Brian Agyemang raise?
Hi, good evening, Alfred. There are so many fundamental issues that all of us must be concerned about. The first point that has to be emphasized is that, as a matter of principle, I have always taken the view that it is reprehensible, it is unacceptable, it is condemnable for public officials, particularly ministers of state, members of parliament, chief executives, those who are asked to take care of state assets. It is wrong when they turn around to purchase those assets. It is plain wrong. It is unconscionable. That is why 16 years ago, if you recall, in 2008, I dragged the Honorable Jake Obechevi Lamte to court when it emerged that he was purchasing his official bungalow. I made the point then that if all the ministers who came before him decided to purchase their bungalows, there will have been none left for him to occupy when he was appointed a minister. So it is that same principle I am applying in this matter. So no minister of state, particularly when you have so much influence, you are sitting in cabinet meetings and other high-level strategic meetings, you are aware of these policy decisions, policy considerations, you have insider information, and then you turn around to participate in the purchase of these assets. I mean, which serious country where good governance, ethics, morality, issues to do with due process are taken seriously or held in high esteem, that you will find this despicable conduct? So that is the first matter of principle that we must establish. And all of us must strive to have a country where those who are given state assets to manage, the least you can do is that make sure you take good care of them and you bequeath it to the next generation. If you cannot add to the stock, if you cannot increase what has been put in your possession, you don't turn around and grab those assets put in your care. You do not appropriate them for private gain. You don't do that. It is just unacceptable. And these are the things that give public office holders, politicians, such a bad name, because they paint all of us with the same brush, that we come not to advance the public good, but to just grab at random what is placed under our care. Now, the next point, which I have to state very, very clearly, is that if you look at the petition that I have sent to Shraj, I am also drawing attention to the fact that the constitutional provisions, Article 78, Article 98, which requires MPs and ministers of state to seek permission from the Speaker before they can engage in such transactions, that business transactions, before they can hold offices of profit. The Honorable Brian Agyemang has not complied with that constitutional provision.
He has not complied?
he has not complied.
Even with the clear knowledge of his links to this Rock City Hotel, which we know about?
Yes, because he's the director at Rock City. He's also the sole beneficial owner of Rock City Hotel. And the new one he incorporated on the 10th of April called the Rock City Group of Companies in anticipation of, these 6 SNIT hotels which he is annexing. So I have checked with the committee, the members holding Office of Profit Committee, and the clerk has dutifully delivered to me the list of all the 47 MPs and ministers who the Speaker has approved their request that they can hold Office of Profit. The Honorable Brian Champon is not part of this list. So he should not even be qualified to be participating in this transaction. That is why one of the release I'm seeking from Shraj is a declaration that the Honorable Brian Champon was not even eligible to participate in this purchase and that he should be warned to stay away from this transaction. Then the third issue, which must concern us, is even the rationale. Why should SNIT, which already has been criticized for mismanagement, you saw the recent ILO report that if care is not taken, in a few years, SNIT may not be able to pay pensioners. So SNIT, which is struggling, which is not doing very well in terms of actuarial projections that have been made, why would they be selling profitable hotels under their investment portfolio, 60% of their stake, losing the controlling rights that they have, their controlling stake in these investments? Why would they be doing that? Who is coming to this decision? Who is taking this decision? What are the considerations that were brought to bear? Because if you take Labadi Beach Hotel, for example, last year, Labadi Beach Hotel paid government dividend of 25 million. It was widely reported. The year before, they paid 10 million Ghana cedis in dividends. So Labadi Beach Hotel is doing very well. I have also seen the financial performance report of Ridge Royal Hotel, the latest one. Ridge Royal Hotel is profitable, it's doing very well. So why will you be giving away hotels in your investment portfolio doing so well, which will give you some cushion, which will guarantee workers' pensions? Why are you giving them away under these dubious circumstances? Who is doing this to our country? Why are they not considering the national interest? Then you also have to spare a thought for the workers who work in all of these 6 hotels, thousands of them. Once this sale goes through and is finalized, and the March 27, 2024 letter I've intercepted, it tells you that the decision has been made, Rock City has been informed, they are just at the last stages as we speak. Now, there is no guarantee that those who work at these hotels, their jobs will be protected. Because if you look at the arrangement, Rock City decides, they have controlling shares, they dictate the future of these hotels. So we anticipate, the analysis that we have done is that you are going to have massive job losses if this deal is allowed to go through. At a time that we are grappling with unprecedented unemployment rate of 14.7%, and there is absolutely no indication that government has any realistic plans of engaging a lot of our young people who are unemployed, who have been sitting at home for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Why is it that the few jobs that these state assets have created, we cannot protect those jobs? So if you look at all the angles and you focus on even the policy considerations, the economics of it, the jobs aspect of it, and then you come to the good governance issues about conflict of interest, abuse of power, this deal stinks to the high heavens. That is why I have petitioned Shraj, and I also expect that even before Shraj will conclude its work, it is the president's appointees who are engaged in this. They are selling the assets, and it is his appointee who is buying. The president told us, don't forget, Alfred, not too long ago, the president told us that he has told his men and women that anybody who wants to serve in his government should not be coming to do business. Absolutely. If you want to do business, you want to make money,
you go to
stay in the private sector. That is what the president said. So how is it that after making this pledge to Ghanaians, giving us this firm assurance, which helps to fight corruption, which helps to prevent conflict of interest, now the president's men come into government and they are just grabbing state assets? This is what is called state capture. And if those who served in government before these current appointees had engaged in this, what would have been left? What would have been put under their care? What would they be managing? So we cannot accept this. This is just unpatriotic. It's not in the national interest. And I hope that Shraj will conduct its investigation expeditiously and very quickly. This very unacceptable deal will be thrown out of the window. It must not be finalized. It must not be consummated. Look, if you even consider the lack of due process, are you aware that in the case of Ridge Royal, the minority shareholders were not even informed? There was no shareholders
meeting on what, on this decision to sell?
On the decision to sell. So their lawyers have now written to SNIT protesting. I have attached the letter from their lawyers to this petition for Shraj's attention. And if you read their lawyers' letters and you see the arm twisting, the unfairness, they even had a meeting, told them we are going to write to you and give you an update about the future of your hotel, only for them to discover that the sale has gone on. They've engaged the third party. They are at the hotel, and Honorable Brad Champo and his people come around, carry out their inspections, preparing to take over. I mean, where does this happen? Are we in some jungle or what? Where does this happen? And you see, these are strategic state assets put under your care. You are not supposed to just annex as if you are some invaders who went to war and you now have the spoils of war and you are sharing them amongst yourselves. I mean, this is downright despicable. It's just wrong. It's just unethical. It stinks to the high heavens, and it cannot be allowed to continue. And that is why, as for this battle, we will fight it to the end. We will make sure Shraj does not let this country down. Because if these 6 hotels go, we don't know what will be next. And all these jobs and the people who depend on the workers in these hotels. And I have to be honest with you that I'm surprised that organized labor has even allowed this to come this far. I hope that in the next few days, we will hear from organized labor. I mean, we cannot accept these things, to continue. The impunity, the state capture, as if this country belongs to, a few, top MPP guns. Why? What have we done wrong to deserve this?
I see. But you see, there's a fundamental issue that question about organized labor as well, it keeps coming up. Because the last time when this ILO report came out, there was a direct question to organized labor as to why they are not asking the hard questions of the managers of SNIT, because this is pensioners' money. It is you and I, our money that is being used to run these hotels and make these investments. But I want to find out from you, based on the documents that you have, does it indicate that this imminent sale of the 60% shares of the hotels within the investment portfolio of SNIT, is it 60% of the individual hotels or the 60% shares of the collective?
So it's 60% of the individual hotels. So each hotel 60% goes to Brad Champon, each hotel 60. So 60%, so he has controlling stakes in all the 6 hotels. He is going to determine the future of these hotels, whether they will even continue to keep them open, whether workers will continue to work there. He has controlling stakes. And you see, the other issue, which I have raised in my release, is the valuation. If you hear some of the figures, you'll be shocked. Why should Elmina Hotel be going for $5 million? Who did this evaluation?
Elmina Hotel?
Yes.
$5 million?
Yes. How did they select the company? Even Ridge Royal, 60% for $8.4 million. So low. All the experts I've spoken to on this matter, they are shocked. So the valuation of these shares is going for a song. I mean, this is a giveaway. So who did the evaluation? And why are these hotels being handed over in such a manner without value for money? Why? I mean, what happened to us even getting good value for our workers? It's about workers' pensions. It is workers' monies used to build these hotels, used to establish these hotels. These are profitable hotels. Yes, some are challenged, but some are very, very profitable. So why are we giving them away without proper valuation, without proper, value for money? I mean, it's just a giveaway. And you see, what is even troubling is that there's even no guarantee that the Honorable Brian Champo has produced evidence that he even has the money to buy these hotels at this cheap rate. No evidence. Because if you look at the pre-qualification criteria, they don't even give a threshold. Best practice, if you look at other notices for inviting strategic investors, is stringent. They give you how much you must have, how much you must produce, evidence of having the financial wherewithal. You don't see any of that. No guarantees. So it is even possible that he will use this offer letter that he has, it's been given to me, and will now go about raising money. I mean, why do we do this? Why? I mean, every aspect of this deal stinks. It's such a dubious transaction. So sleazy.
I see. So after now, this petition has been now sent to Shraj. What path will the petition take after today?
So after today, we expect Shraj to write to us acknowledging that it has received my petition. And from my experience with other petitions, remember that the National Cathedral Reverend Kusi Boateng petition is still before Shraj. And my experience, my very latest experience is that they will write when they need more information, when they want some clarification, when they want some more documents, they will write to you. I have told them that on this matter, I am available even to appear before them physically because I have a lot of documentation on this. Fortunately, I have some very good deep throat sources within SNET who are also willing and some whistleblower protection to also reveal a lot more. So I've given Shraj all those indications within my petition, and I hope that they will call us, because you see, if you look at the 27 March 2024 letter I put out, the letter addressed to the shareholders of Royal Ridge, which was an afterthought after Royal Ridge had protested, they gave Royal Ridge 45 days. After they will finalize the deal, allow Brian Champon to take over Royal Ridge. That 45 days lapsed on the 12th of March. It expired on the 12th of March. So I told Shraj in the petition that we are racing against time. They are hurrying with this deal, and they are determined to just give everything away, to railroad their way. So one of the things I expect Shrike to do is to immediately write to SNET, write to Brachampo, ask them to stop, to cease and desist, not proceed further, to stay their hands, and let them all freeze that they are under investigation, so that the deal is not finalized. And I hope that agency will be brought to bear. So these are the steps I'm expecting Shrike to take.
And there's one that we're going to follow quite closely here on 3FM. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you.
You're most welcome.
Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa is Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency, joining us here on Hot Edition, Hot on the Plate, coming through right now. The Member of Parliament you just heard, he has petitioned the Commission on Human Rights Administrative Justice Shraj to investigate and halt the imminent sale of some 60% shares of each of the hotels within the Senate investment portfolio to the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Agyemang. We're talking about Labate Beach Hotel, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Almena Beach Hotel, and Rage Royal Hotel, Buzia Beach Resort, and the Trust Lodge Hotel. And we understand Senate intends to relinquish its stake in these hotels to another hotel operator, Rock City Hotel, which is linked strongly to this cabinet minister, Brian Agyemang. And that's what Samuel Okujeto has been talking about, giving details, Grace, of the documentation that he has, which he has actually attached to the petition to Shraj on this matter. And some of it we have copies of as well here at 3FM, and we're going to follow every step of the way how this will play out. But another issue, if you're just joining us, that we've been on since 5 p.m. here on Hot Edition is the petition to remove the special prosecutor as sent by Martin Amido to the president, now forwarded to the Chief Justice. Chief Justice is seeking responses from Kessie Agyapong, the special prosecutor. But let's find out, what are the grounds for the removal that Martin Amido is seeking right now?
Yes, Alfred. So Martin Amido cites, the first point is that violation of citizens' right to information. He also says violation of citizens' right through arrest and detentions, abuse of judges and administration of justice. He also cites procurement breaches and then appointment breaches. So these are the 5 grounds on which Martin Amido is petitioning for the removal of the special prosecutor. Now, let me take you through what the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act says about how an OSP can be removed. And the special prosecutor shall not be removed from office except for 1, stated misbehavior or incompetence, B, incapacity to perform the functions of the office by reason of infirmity or body or mind, and willful violation of the official oath or oath of secrecy. Conduct which brings or is likely to bring the office of the special prosecutor into disrepute, ridicule, or contempt, or is prejudicial or inimical to the economy or security of the state. And also, a person who seeks to remove the special prosecutor from office shall submit a petition to the president. And that is exactly what Martin Amido has done. And where the president receives a petition for the removal of the special prosecutor, the president shall within 7 days refer the petition to the Chief Justice, who shall within 30 days determine whether there is a prima facie case. And she has also done that, written to the OSP for his initial comment to be able to determine whether they can establish a prima facie case against him or not. So the timelines in this case, according to Section 15 Clause 4, is that when the Chief Justice determines that there's a prima facie case, the CJ shall within 14 days set up a committee consisting of 1, a chairperson who is a justice of the Supreme Court, B, a lawyer of at least 15 years standing at the bar, and C, 1 other person with expertise in investigations. And the committee, according to Section 15 Clause 5, shall within 90 days investigate the matter and make its recommendation to the president through the Chief Justice. The president shall act in accordance with the recommendations of the committee. When we spoke to Justice Abdullah, he said he wasn't very sure whether the president is going to comply with the recommendations of the committee or not, looking at the precedent he has already set in other cases or other matters.
We'll see how this plays out.
Yes,
but
Alfred.
Indeed, Solavi on Hot Edition on 3FM. FM 92.7, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Also on Facebook at 3FM 927 on Facebook. Share your thoughts with us and read it out to the rest of the world. We're back shortly after this quick break with the business news. Juliana Menwafol is standing by. Stay with us.
It's lights, camera, music. The stage is set, the stars are ready, and Ghana's biggest night is here. The 25th Telecel Ghana Music Awards night happening live on Saturday, 1st June at the Grand Arena from 7 p.m. Be part of the extravaganza of rhythm, sheer talent, and high fashion, plus all the drama of who wins what. 170 nominees, 30 awards, plus 18 superstars, all performing live. You can't miss this. Book your tickets now. Starting for 500 Ghana cedis on star 713 star 33 star 25 hash or call our hotline on 0501 288520. The 25th Telecel Ghana Music Awards, powered by Chatterhouse, supported by Guinness, Captain Morgan, Close Up, British Council, TV3, 3FM, and sponsored by Telecel, connecting energies. Celebration.
Hello, good evening. It's time now for the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, Africa leaders admonish to build capacity of local businesses to harness opportunities within the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. We have details of these shortly. And now the details. The Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement Secretariat has highlighted the need to enhance capacity of businesses across the continent to fully leverage opportunities within the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. According to Secretary General Wamkele Mene, the African continent, particularly with the size of its GDP, is full of potential but would require strategic efforts to harness. He spoke at the signing of a MOU between the AFCFTA Secretariat and the AFCFTA Policy Network.
So this issue of capacity building is important. We have already started doing some work on private sector capacity building, but I think we need to expand that to include civil society, to include legislatures, to include also trade unions that have an interest in what we are doing.
Well, you heard Secretary General of the AFCFTA, His Excellency Wamkele Mene there. Meanwhile, in response to projections indicating Africa's GDP could surpass 16 trillion by 2050, Executive Director of the AFCFTA Policy Network, Louis Yao Afol, advocates for significant investment in infrastructure and industry.
You cannot say you want to do trading among yourselves when your manufacturing industries are not being boosted. That is the critical problem Africa is having now. Most economies have really not doing much when it comes to manufacturing. Again, most economies are not linking the agricultural industries to their manufacturing sector. And so you could see that there's a big gap. If we don't do these things, it's going to be difficult because even if we look at the rules of origin and the ASCFTA, about 80% is about agricultural sector. And AFDB projects that by 2025, you are going to have millionaires coming out of the agricultural sector. So why do we neglect it?
Well, that was Executive Director of AFCFTA Policy Network, Louis Yao Afol there. Away from that, Managing Director of Tarragon Edge, Derek Hammond, has stressed the importance of credit unions in Ghana's financial inclusion agenda, especially for women. Access to credit has been identified as a key role in the country's recovery journey from the global economic challenges brought by COVID-19 pandemic to geopolitical tensions. At the launch of the Edge Credit Union, Derek Hammond admonished Ghanaians to take interest in community credit unions as a means of providing capital, especially for women.
I would like to say that, the perception that credit unions are vehicles that, charge competitive or high interest rates and making it difficult for people to participate, those times are over. A credit union is a community-based organization, and in that, it's important that people recognize that with communities, we are all together. And the idea of accountability and integrity is central to why credit unions are key to financial growth and inclusion. For a community to prosper, women are key to it. A lot of the times, men find it easy to get access to a lot of things, but women find it challenging, and that's why we have taken it upon ourselves to be a tool to empower women, an organization that takes women seriously and grants them the access to capital and processes so that they can sustain and grow wealth.
Derek Hammond is the managing director of Tarragon Edge. In more stories, fuel consumers who were expecting a drop in prices might be disappointed as there are indications of a likely hike or stability in the cost of the commodity. The Institute for Energy Security had earlier predicted a decline in the cost of fuel in the country due to price falls on the global market. However, speaking to 3 Business, director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, Benjamin Nsia, stated that the depreciation of the cedi has eroded the possibility of any decline.
If you look at the petroleum price indicators published by NPA, prices or export prices were expected to decline. However, we also need to consider the market rate of the cedi to the dollar, which is currently around 14 Ghana cedis, 25 pesos. Because of this new trend with respect to depreciation of the currency, the BDCs could not adjust their prices downwards because the cedi depreciation eroded the decline of the product on the international market. For that matter, the petroleum user locally is not likely to see any decline in the price of the product, but rather prices are likely to stay same, or maybe others will even adjust their prices a bit higher compared to what is currently on the market.
That was Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, Benjamin Nsia there. Well, that's it for the business segment on Hot Edition. For more stories, please log on to our website on 3news.com. My name is Minu. Do stay tuned. Kelvin will soon join in for the sports news.
It's time for sports on Hot Edition. My name is Kelvin Olson. Starting from the 3FM Tour de Ghana, which happens on Saturday, the 18th of May. Tomorrow morning, start point is the premises of TV3, and we finish up at Kwewum Prior. So all you need to do is to get your bike and join us. If you're a professional rider and you want to be part of the competitive event, you pay 150 Ghana cedis for a single rider and 1,000 Ghana cedis for a group of 10, which means you have 50 Ghana cedis of 100 Ghana cedis per person. It's not too late. Join us early tomorrow morning by 6 a.m. We leave the premises of TV3 World. Our friends from Nigeria, Pistop Nigeria, are here to participate. And the head coach of the team, Jelly, says they are not here for just the fun of it.
Really, for me, it's not about the competition. It's just about, the social, friendship between Nigeria and Ghana. We just want to share some beautiful experience with our Ghanaian brothers. And again, with the sponsors of this race, it's not easy to organize things like this. So we are here just to enjoy with you guys and see how the race can, be more attractive.
So our friends from Nigeria, hopefully it becomes a very successful one for them. Well, they have lots of experienced riders in there. Now moving on to the Ghana Premier League. The first game of match week 30 was played this afternoon at the Dr. Kwame Chase Sports Complex in Abrankese. Nations FC continued their unbeaten run, defeating Accra Lions by a goal to nil. Kasim Mingo Ocansey on the chase for the title behind FC Samatex.
I told you they are very good side. They keep the ball, we also keep the ball, so it's going to be an interesting game. But we did the point more than they did it. And opportunity for us to record the point.
So that is from Kasim Mingal Ocansey, who is the head coach for Nations Football Club. They've closed the gap on leaders. That is Samatex, who play on Sunday. Now let's move on to the Premier League, where Phil Foden has been voted PFA Young Player of the Year, and he has spoken about the success he's chucked this season, especially ahead of Manchester City winning the Premier League on Sunday.
It means everything to be voted the best player. I couldn't have done it without my teammates and the manager. Playing in this brilliant team obviously helped me to perform better. I would like to say that I'm just happy with the season that I'm having. And I've scored a lot of goals and a lot of assists, so I'm delighted with that, and I want to keep going in the right direction.
So that is it there from Phil Foden, hoping that things get better. Now, we all know that Wolverhampton Wanderers want the video assistant referee scrapped from the Premier League. Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag has spoken about the difficulty of the VAR and calls for support.
Yesterday, Wolves released a statement about VAR saying they want to scrap it, and the Premier League are obviously going to vote on it. What is your view? Can you see a world without VAR, or do you think we're stuck with it and we've just got to try and make it better?
I don't think there is a way back. And so in principle it makes the football more fair. But there are some problems, and I think we have to find solutions for those problems, so we have to make improvements.
Well, solutions need to be found there. That is from Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag. Now, let's move on to some other stories. But before then, let's update ourselves on the matches that will be coming up in the Premier League this weekend. Lots of games are coming up, but let's take a quick look at the final round of matches. Arsenal against Everton. There is Brentford against Newcastle. Brighton against Manchester United. Burnley against Nottingham. Bournemouth against Chelsea. Crystal Palace against Aston Villa. There is Liverpool against Wolves, Luton against Fulham, and Manchester City against West Ham. Very big game coming up in there, and Tottenham Hotspur will be going to Sheffield. Aside Arsenal and City fighting for the title, there is also a place for the final Europa League slot between Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham Hotspur, and Newcastle United in there. Now let's finish off with some boxing, and the long-anticipated heavyweight bout between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk is coming up in Saudi Arabia on Saturday. 35-year-old British champion Fury and his 37-year-old Ukrainian counterpart Usyk, holding the WBO and IBF as well as the IBO belt, will look to lock horns over 12 rounds of boxing. Tyson Fury being very modest ahead of the fight.
I'm ready. I've got nothing to say apart from I'm ready for a good fight. And if it's tough or easy, either way, I'll be ready. God bless him. And I'll say a prayer for him before we walk out, that we both get out the ring in one piece and go home to our families, because that's what it's about.
So that is it there from Tyson Fury. But Alexander Usyk has also spoken about the big bout that will be coming up. He's not giving anything away.
What was it? It's my homework. It's my remember and it's poem.
Could you show it to us?
No, later.
Well, a very brilliant NBA championship in there. Anthony Edwards has forced the Game 7 in the NBA playoffs, and he's looking forward to having a very wonderful campaign this time around with his team. Well, he has spoken about how he managed to pull his A game up and force a Game 7 between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Like you said, they're the defending champs, so it's going to be super tough. They're home, they're at the crib, they fans is crazy. It's going to be super loud, but I mean, I feel like as a competitor, it's like one of the best feelings in the world. I've never played a Game 7 on the road, but all my playoff experiences on the road has been like super fun because nobody's on your side. So I can just imagine how this game will be and like the fans. So I'm super pumped for it. Like I'm super happy. I'm ready to play it.
Super happy for that. Now Fiorentina playing against Napoli at 6:45. There is also the championship play of Southampton and West Bromwich Albion. Looking forward to seeing Ghanaian international Kamaldeen Sulemana play. He's actually on the bench and hopefully would get some minutes. I'll be all for sports here on Hot Edition. Alfred Ocansey and the team continue. Grace Hamasari is also here.
Amoah Agyemang here, together with me here, Alfred Ocansey. Calvin Olsons are gone by with all the news in the world of sport this morning. News on 3news.com. And let's go straight to Parliament because we're monitoring some news there. Some breaking news coming through right now from Parliament. If you might really be aware, Parliament was recalled today to attend to urgent business. Our parliamentary correspondent Komla Kluche has just come through with some information. The minority in Parliament has staged a walkout on the approval of the ministerial nominees. That is what is happening right now. And just before that, Parliament, by a majority decision, approved the $150 million Garrett loan, despite the minority fighting against it. That's the information we're having right now from Parliament. But just give you an idea of what is going on as we speak.
They assign ministries. This is our government. This is the decision of government. You cannot use numbers to obstruct government business. Mr. Speaker, that again is unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, having said this, I would want to conclude by urging my colleagues who are here and present to support this motion for us to approve these nominees. Mr. Speaker, currently we have representatives of the president. The imperatives of democracy allows for accountability. Once we approve them and they become ministers, they are sworn in and they become ministers, it allows for accountability. They will come to this house to report and respond to questions. And that would be right. If we leave it in abeyance, Mr. Speaker, what that means is that there will be no ministers to mount these ministries. So, Mr. Speaker, we are here. We have the numbers. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, you would want to suspend for 5 minutes. Mr. Speaker, that is okay. Thank you very much.
So that is what is happening right now, and we're hearing that Parliament may be suspended for 5 minutes. But my colleague Komla Kluche, who's a lead parliamentary correspondent, is joining us on the telephone from Parliament. Komla, appreciate your time here on Hot Edition. First off, if you can confirm to us what we were just hearing, that indeed the minority has just walked out of Parliament when this ministerial nominees approval came up for consideration, and that has led to Parliament going on break for some minutes?
Certainly. That happened just about some 3 to 4 minutes ago, and let me just lay the context within which this happened. When after the House had gone through the approval of the loan, which is a $150 million Garrett loan, the Speaker had asked that it should go to the next item, which is the approval of the nominees of the President. Roxanne Nelson rose on his feet to raise the matter. He's been in court on the issue of whether the ministers should appear before the committee again, or some of the ministers looking at the wordings that the president used in the removal and then the subsequent appointment. He is in court challenging this. We know he's already lost the first case of injunction, but the substantive matter is still sub judice. And so he reminded the House that the matter is still before the court, and so the House should not deal with the matter. The majority MPs did not take lightly to it. In fact, it became an issue of legalese. The lawyers from both sides trading, words at each other that this should not happen. And then the minority leader came back and said, okay, for them, they are not going to be approving these ministers, because if you look at where the country is now, the situation is not that good. He thinks that with the current ministers that the president has, he would be able to work with them, and that disapproval, is not going to have any significant impact. And so there's also the need for them to cut down on it. If the running of the flag bearer of the NPP indicates that he's going to work with the 50 ministers, why then can the president not stick to what he has now? And so on that basis, they are not going to be a part of it. And he made it clear that because the flag bearer of the NDC has indicated that he intends to cut down on the number of ministers, that 60 ministers that he's going to work with, and also the words of Dr. Bawumia that he would work with 50 ministers. They think that the president should take cue from it and withdraw these appointees, and that they should strictly stick by it. It is for this reason that he said they will not be a part of it. The more reason they walked out of it. But the majority said, well, I mean, in fact, they were telling them bye means that they are in the chamber or not. I mean, approval plus the process would go ahead. It will happen. And so that's why you had the majority leader advancing the argument to stop them from doing that. And in fact, is that if they think by walking out they were not part of the process, they've gotten the whole plot wrong, because they were part of the vetting, because the vetting is actually even the main thing where they were grilled. And so the debate and the subsequent approval by the entire membership of the House is just a finality to it. And so if you're distancing yourself from it, it doesn't mean that you were not, or you are not a part of it. You should have distanced yourself right from where it goes. But as it is now, he calls it bad faith. Those are his words. And he says, nonetheless, they'll go ahead and have the ministers approve, at least with the numbers that they have. At the last count, they had 137 members on their side.
And that is enough for them to push through this approval?
Absolutely, that's enough. And this would be by a voice vote. I mean, nobody has raised any objection. Nobody has raised any issues, from the standing orders that may make them the speaker not to do so. And so the speaker suspended the House now for 5 minutes, and then he'll come back. This approval will be done, and it does appear that'll be the end of the day. They may not be able to take the waivers on the 1D1F because it's quite a lot, very voluminous. If you look at the order paper, it has 128 pages, and if they have to go through this, it means all of it one by one. And so they had agreed that they were not going to do the waivers for the 1D1F, and it's only the two items. That's the approval of the loan, 150 million, which they have done. Majority had won, and so the House approved by a majority decision. And then also what is outstanding now that has to do with the appointees of the president.
Saying we had earlier, as you did report that the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, had indicated he was going to petition the World Bank over the $200 million Garrett loan.
Absolutely. Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, in advancing the argument on the $150 million loan, says that because the World Bank, this is the only loan from the World Bank that appears that they do not have a performance unit on it, and that performance unit normally is established by the World Bank to actually monitor how the monies are used. There's a reason why they have advanced the argument, and the issue of the withdrawal of the transfer of $68 million into the COVID account, which has been unaccounted for. They make the point that so far out of the $200 million that was given out from the World Bank, it appears that it's only $8 million that has been given out from the documents that's before the House, and they haven't been able to account for the rest. Why would they be needing the 150 that they have outstanding, and that they are now applying for? They see no need for that. And so he's going to write to the World Bank and demand for answers as to why there hasn't been some strict monitoring to this issue.
Komla, appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much. He's our legal parliamentary affairs correspondent, the lead parliamentary affairs correspondent, giving us details there. Komla Kluche, connecting with us live from Parliament as we speak. As just reported there by Komla Kluche, Parliament has taken a 5-minute break. Reason, the minority has walked out. They say they cannot and will not be part of the approval of the ministerial nominees who went through this vetting even before Parliament went on recess. Now, they are saying, to the extent that this is being challenged in the court of law by one of their own, Nelson Ross and Dafiamakpo, the minority says they cannot be part of this process. Also, before that, there was an approval of $150 million World Bank loan, that Garrett loan, which the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tufosin, has indicated he will petition the World Bank office on this matter. President Akufo-Addo has been talking. Grace.
Yes, Alfred, he's been meeting the new president of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, and the president says he knows the Senegalese president will use goodwill in Senegal and within the ECOWAS sub-region to assist in resolving the pullout of Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali from the regional bloc. The 44-year-old president of Senegal, Bassirou Faye, was in Ghana for a day's visit as part of a select tour of some African countries. Mali and Burkina Faso and Niger early this year announced they were leaving ECOWAS. The junta-led countries had already been suspended from the bloc, which has been urging them to return to democratic rule. The three governments said it was a sovereign decision to withdraw from ECOWAS. Speaking to the press at the Jubilee House, President Akufo-Addo said President Faye's election as Senegal's leader as he will help to try resolve the problem of the departure of these three countries from the regional bloc.
The manner in which he ascended to the presidency has brought peace and unity to his country, and that again, that Senegal is going to play a very important role in the development of the ECOWAS community has now been fully confirmed. We're lucky in having a new leader in Senegal in place, because I think he's also going to help us to try and resolve the big problem that we have in the ECOWAS community, and that is the purported departure of 3 of the key figures, key nations in ECOWAS, Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali. And President Faye is very committed to seeing what he, together with the rest of us, can do.
President Akufo-Addo there.
Oh, well, let's go on to the telephone now. This news just coming through. The Electoral Commission has been addressing the press a number of issues, rejecting suggestions it is in bed with the NPP to rig the 2024 general elections. Yeah, addressing a news conference today, and then also responding to a number of concerns. My colleague Eric Mawena Egbeta is at the press conference by the Electoral Commission. Mawena, what exactly has the Electoral Commission been saying?
Right, and so Alfred, yesterday we provided details of the NDC's press conference where they, amongst many other things, stressed that the Electoral Commission must denounce any plans to rig the December polls in collusion with the incumbent government, coming off the back of comments by the president that he will not hand over to a candidate that he had defeated. The NDC made the argument that suggested that the president was making the comments because they had the tacit approval of the Electoral Commission in some grand scheme to rig the elections. Well, the Commission has quickly responded, stating that they cannot rig the elections. They do not have the ability to rig the elections. They walk the media through the processes all throughout, expected to be carried out until the December polls, and stress the point that at no point in the entire process they've listed is there a loophole through which they can rig the December election. As such, it should be treated with the contempt that it deserves, and there's no such plan to rig the December elections. The Electoral Commission proceeded to touch on quite a number of issues as well in relation to the concern by the NDC of not submitting details of registration officials currently being used in this ongoing limited voter registration exercise. The Electoral Commission conceded to the fact that indeed they didn't do it at the initial stages, but they have subsequently at the regional IPAC and district IPAC submitted these lists to the respective parties at their local and regional levels. Hence, they have now complied with CI 91, which explicitly states that provision that at least some days before the exercise, these details are to be provided to the parties involved. On concerns of insecurity and the likes, which was raised by the NDC yesterday, they said the Electoral Commission literally has no hand in it, and that if the political parties had agreed to use the Ghana card as their sole identifier heading into the December elections, then the acrimony and the animosity being witnessed at the various registration centers would not have been something that happened, as has been witnessed all throughout in this current ongoing registration exercise. Then they touched on the subject of SAL as well. And so they pretty much used this press conference to address a number of concerns that have come up both on traditional and then social media as well. We know there's been a back and forth between the Electoral Commission and Imani Africa and petitioners from SAL as whether or not they disenfranchised them. The Commission has regurgitated their details as captured in the press statement, stating that they did not disenfranchise the people of SAL, and that if you read the Local Government Act portions of it, they make the point that an MP cannot be a member of two district assemblies, hence they could not allow the people of SAL vote in the Boehm constituency. Then finally, they ended, I won't say finally, they ended as well with the numbers that have been registered so far in terms of the 9 days of the exercise, 391,111. And then the fact that they will not charge persons affected by the dam spillage for the cost of replacing their voters' ID card. And one more point which they sought to explicitly deny as well is these allegations which have come up of voter transfer in the Ocansey South constituency. The Commission says it is actually an exercise being done across all of the 275 constituencies, because these votes that are being transferred are votes from the special voting that was carried out during the December elections in 2020. They are now transferring the votes, and so there's no cause for alarm, Alfred.
Fantastic detail there. Coming on, thank you so much, Eric Agyemang there, giving us details of what's happening at the Electoral Commission, and it's something that we're going to stay on as we go on here on Campaign Trail. Eric Agyemang is a lead political affairs correspondent, giving us details there. And let's go to the Upper East region.
Yes, Alfred, talking about Campaign Trail, the flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is continuing his tour of the northern part of the country. The vice president this afternoon was in the Upper East region on his campaign to win hearts and minds of voters. It is coming on the back of visit to the Savannah, Northeast and the northern regions, where the VP has been sharing his vision for the country with residents and key stakeholders. Upper East regional correspondent Senyala Castro will be joining us shortly, but first, let's listen to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on his plans to reduce government expenditure, borrowing and high taxes when given the nod in the December 7 elections.
I have a vision that I want to really focus on if, by the grace of God, I become president. My first priority is going to be agriculture. Agriculture and large-scale commercial agriculture, mechanized agriculture with the application of technology. This is what has been lacking. We have the land, we have the water, and so we need to move into large-scale commercial production, mechanized with technology that we are going to use to help our farmers access credit, and with irrigation. I have no doubt in my mind, and I was championing the Pualugu Dam. We have not yet been able to do it, but by the grace of God, I believe we are going to do the Pualugu Dam. It has to be done. It's a major priority because that can bring 28,000 hectares into cultivation. And I want to see, and of course,
Flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia there. Let's speak to Senyala Castro, our Upper East Regional Correspondent. Castro, what more has the flag bearer been telling you? We know he's been in the region for a while.
Right, so the Vice President, who doubles as the presidential candidate of the MPP, has just concluded his tour of the region this evening. But before then, he has been. He visited a couple of places, including the Bani community, where he spoke largely on the interventions he would put in place if he is given the mandate to become the head of state of the country. He talks about making sure that he puts certain things in place which would come out so clean to ensure that the lives of miners, in that case small miners, are better and improved so that they don't face challenges they are currently facing, including setting up funds for they themselves and their families, and also making sure that schools, in terms of education, schools in the area are improved for them, for their children to enjoy great education. Talking about what he's done so far also, he was also at the regional mosque where he interacted with the regional imam, talking about the need for them to continue to pray for Boko as far as restoring peace to the troubled town is concerned, and also to pray for a peaceful election. The Vice President concluded his tour of the region at the Nat Hall here in Bogatanga, where he's been meeting party faithful and speaking on the need for them to continue to spread the message of the New Patriotic Party for an assured, for a resounding victory, if I can put it that way, in December, because according to him, the NPP has done a lot, and if it can win, it would depend on the campaign message to the voters out there, and that the NPP faithful have the responsibility of spreading that message, and they are sure that it is possible that they can break the eight and retain the vote of the people to become the president-elect of the country. All
right. Castro, thank you for that update. Senyala Castro, our man in the Upper East Regional Correspondent, updating us on the tour of the flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia.
Us ends a campaign trail for us here on your Election Command Center, and by extension, Hot Edition. Thank you. There's more news on 3news.com. Remember to connect with 3news.com and also join the team on Ghana Tonight at 10 p.m. for another conversation. And remember to make a date tomorrow at 7 a.m. for the key point. My name is Alfred Ocansey.
Alfred, told Ghana it's happening tomorrow. We're starting here. We're ending at Imprice. So
if you say we, what do you mean?
Oh, me and the riders.
I can't imagine you on a bicycle. Goodness me. Oh boy. But it's going to start here. At 6 a.m.?
6 a.m.
And we're riding all the way to
Imprice, in the Eastern region. Yeah.
That's some distance. Some distance.
Yes.
From here to that 7 problem. Anyway, I am Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Grace Amoah Agyemang. Thank you for joining us. Good evening.